Um, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
I have searched high and low for that video because I knew it was real. I've heard it before, and it's very hard to find. I had to go to C-SPAN and go into the Wayback Machine to find this. Thanks for tuning in. I was just searching through the news, and it hit me that I wanted to get this information out, this video out. I was aware of this video a long time ago, and the White House has said numerous times that it's actually taken out of context, and we're going to play the entire segment for you to see it in context. I think in context, it reads the exact same way. Be sure to hit that subscribe and like, and we're going to get right back to it here, because I think even in context, this isn't very good. Words have meaning. Words have meaning. And as you heard in that, he never said he wasn't going to be elected. He said he wasn't going to be allowed to take power. As we approach the date where the Electoral College is counted, and then inauguration, and all the time in between, we are in the most dangerous time in human history. And I think stuff like this demonstrates that. They'll stop at nothing to keep power. Let's see what it is in context, because I don't think it changes anything.
Let's continue to try to make life better for the American people. Okay, Phil Mattingly, CNN.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 37 questions. I'm kidding. Sir, at a fundraiser last month, you said, quote, the rest of the world is looking at this election, both the good guys and the bad guys. You noted you're going to the G20 in a couple days. You'll come face to face with many of those leaders the same moment that your predecessor is considering launching his re-election effort. How should those world leaders, both good guys and bad guys, view this moment both for America and for your presidency?
Well, first of all, these world leaders know we're doing better than anybody else in the world as a practical matter. Notwithstanding the difficulties we have, our economy is growing. You saw the last report. We're still growing at 2.6%. We're creating jobs. We're still in a solid position. And there's not many other countries in the world that are in that position. And I promise you, from the telephone calls I still have and from the meetings I have with other heads of state, they're looking to the United States and saying, how are you doing? What are you doing? What can we do together? So I think that the vast majority of my colleagues, at least those colleagues who are NATO members, European Union, Japan, South Korea, et cetera, I think they're looking to cooperate and wanting to know how we can help one another. And what was the other question?
Oh, I haven't asked it yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. So I think one way I would follow up on that is you noted that you felt like there was a shift in terms of people being willing to show more decency in this moment. You've often talked about breaking the fever or kind of a transition from this moment that we've faced over the last several years. Do you feel like the election is what represents that? Do you feel like the fever is broken, I guess?
Well, I don't think we're going to break the fever for the super mega MAGA Republicans. But I think they're a minority of the Republican Party. I think the vast majority of the members of the Republican Party, we disagree strongly on issues, but they're decent, honorable people. We have differences of agreement on issues. But they, I work with a lot of these folks in the Senate and the House for a long time, and they're honest and they're straightforward. They're different than mine, but they're decent folks, and so I think that the rest of the world, and a lot of you have covered other parts of the world, and the rest of the world is looking at the United States. I guess the best way to say this is to repeat what some of you heard me say before. The first G7 meeting for the public, that's the 7 largest democracies, when I went to, right after we got elected in February, after I got sworn in January. And I sat down at a table, a round table, with the 6 other world leaders from the European Union and Canada, et cetera, and said, America's back. And one of them turned to me and said, for how long? For how long? It was a deadly earnest question. For how long? And I looked at them, and then another one went on to say, and I'm not going to name them, went on to say, what would you say, Joe, if in fact we went to bed tonight here in England, woke up the next morning and found out that thousands of people had stormed the Parliament of Great Britain, gone down the hall, broken down the doors, 2 cops ended up dying, a number of people injured, and
No police died.
Stop the confirmation of an election. It's not the same situation, obviously, as we have. And he said, what would you think? And I asked a rhetorical question, what would you all think? You'd think England was really in trouble. You'd think democracy was on the edge if that happened in Great Britain. And so that's the way people were looking at us, like, when's this going to stop? Nothing like this has happened since the Civil War. I don't want to exaggerate, but literally, nothing like this has happened since the Civil War. And so what I find is that they want to know, is the United States stable? Do we know what we're about? Are we the same democracy we've always been? Because, look, the rest of the world looks to us. I don't mean that we're always right. But if the United States tomorrow were to, quote, withdraw from the world, a lot of things would change around the world. A whole lot would change. And so they're very concerned that we are still the open democracy we've been, and that we have rules and the institutions matter. And that's the context in which I think that they're looking at, are we back to a place where we are going to accept decisions made by the court, by the Congress, by the government, et cetera?
So the entire genesis of that G7 conversation was tied to your predecessor, who is about to launch another campaign. So how do you reassure them, if that is the reason for their questioning, that the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
And there you have the context. I don't think it sounds any better. It sounds very much a standalone, that they have no intention of allowing Trump to take power. What means they are going to use, I don't know. I really don't know. But I searched high and low for this video, and I'm glad I found it, because I knew it wasn't an illusion. Words have meaning. Words have meaning. Trump was elected. He never said he wouldn't be elected. He just said that won't take power. There's a lot of constitutional means, whether they're actually constitutional is another matter, but they are in the Constitution. And if those means can be used, these people will use them. I can't stand listening to Joe Biden speak for that long either. But I felt it was important because the White House has come out and said that this is not true. They did a video of fact check, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen for you. As it says here, to stop Trump from taking power. The tweet included a video of Biden saying, we just have to demonstrate. And what they do is they talk about the context, how this was actually in context regarding our overseas allies, and that it was regarding this, that, and the other. And this is a long piece trying to debunk the video I just played for you. Now, I'm going to link everything into this video, but I wanted to get this out. I know it's hell listening to Joe Biden for more than 15 seconds. I get it. But it's important. It's very important because words have meaning. Won't be allowed to take power. Look at everything that's happened since the election. Everything. The fall of Syria. We've had the Oreshnik missile being used. We've had not a coup, martial law declared in South Korea. The world is going crazy. And it all seems to be happening since November. It's like they're aligning pieces after piece, piece after piece, getting their ducks in a row because they know it's about to hit the fan. And they're the ones who are aiming at that fan. Things are happening. Big things are happening. He did say it. What his context is, I don't think it's what the media is gaslighting. I think he legitimately means what he says. And I think he knows something. I know it's tinfoil hat. But damn. I remember that. It's from November 8th of 2022. I'm glad I remembered it. And I'm glad I was able to find it. And I was glad I was able to bring it to you. That's all I got about this story, but I'm glad I was able to bring it to you. One, to just prove my own sanity to myself, that I'm not imagining this. I saw it. It happened. It was real. Yay! I'm not insane. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by.